So what I'm thinking is, here's what you started off with after you've drained it out, right? A lot of them will be pretty wet, most of them will be pretty dry inside. It might make sense to see how it's coming off. Let it dry out and then add this stuff. You're going to be scraping anyways to get all that film off. Again, avoid putting water in this stuff. Once you do, it turns into a terrible slime that spreads everywhere and it's impossible to work with. It's possible to get off anything, so keep using dry stuff and scraping. And yeah, I mean, you could just let it dry first and then peel it off. That might be the easiest way. I know that the best thing about this is the comments. People give different ideas. You know, if you have a high pressure power washer, that might be the answer too, but pretty expensive. Most people don't have one that's big enough. Most people have these little guys that just run on 110. But if you have a big gas one, because you got to go to gas, you're kind of limited by your amp sizes and your gallon per minute out of your hose. All right, bye. This is what I'm dealing with, this particular thing. So it's flock, which is the same stuff used in, of course, pools and in water filtration systems like this city water. They need to put this super gooey, it's a glue, if you look up the details on it. And first you drain as much as you can out, of course, into containers, and then you put it like we have over there. We've contained it all in there. So when you're right at the end here and you're rinsing it out, we're just using Dawn right now, but you need a pressure washer to get in there and knock it out. But before you touch this stuff with water, because it's basically like as soon as you touch it, it's as if you turn it into a catfish. You got this slime on you that is impossible to remove. So before you get any water on it, what you have to do is get yourself an inert material like coconut husk or something, but I'm using sawdust because I have bags of this stuff from a previous project. Sawdust is not an inert material, but it's fine. I've tested it, and you're basically using it as a scraping material. So you're going into the big hole here, and you're getting in there, and you're scraping it. And what it does is it collects up. This is after you've washed out anything you can. So you're trying to get it, and you can even let it dry a little bit. Don't worry. Then you scrape this stuff off with the sawdust. The sawdust collects it. You're gonna need to create yourself some custom tools. So I created myself a scraping rake that fits into the hole. I'll just cut the edge off. A regular car thing works really good for the close stuff. Your arm can only get in so far. And I got another scraper here that I created. Using all these different combinations of tools, you can scrape the flock off the edges. And then once you've scraped it really well and brushed it everywhere you can. Oh, I also have I created a brush. If you have a super strong brush of some kind, like that's a steel wire on there. So that helps in some places too, but you just do the best you can. Scrape it all off using your sawdust to collect it, and then just take a shop vac, vacuum the crap back up again. And then you would go down to your now you could try, I haven't tried it yet, but you could try the cleaning vinegar instead of the Dawn. But you want to use only materials that cannot possibly harm the environment in any way. And this flock stuff is safe for the environment. But again, even though somebody would say it's safe for the environment, it's still a glue. So, you got to avoid getting it all over yourself, and you got to avoid any of it leaking into a stream or something. We've got it all contained. We had 8 containers and we got it all in here in 2 18-gallon sorry, 18-liter buckets. So it's just the last little bit off with the sprayer. We tried different methods, and this was the best. Remember, the key point is keep the water away from it till the last possible moment, and just keep rolling these around and scraping, and bring the water in only at the very end when you're sure you've done the best you can to scrape it. It's going to take you at least an hour a container. So factor that in if you are looking at buying these things and they have this, previously had this nasty flock in it, because this stuff is nasty and it's really hard to remove. I would say, you know, unless you get about $100 off per container, it's not worth dealing with this stuff. But if you are going to deal with it, this is how you do it. So yeah, for us, I think the next step up for a totally clean new container with nothing else had ever been in it was well over $100 a container. We didn't really get complete advice on how to do it. The guy did the best he can to try to give us some ideas. And then I should say, you know, the other option is to go to something that wasn't inert, or was like a mineral oil or any kind of nasty chemical that's been in one of these things, and you don't want that, right? Like, at least my feeling is at least if there's a tiny bit of this flock left, it's going to go into multiple filters. So it's not the end of the world. It might clog up, you know, your coconut husk filter, which is probably the first one that it's going to hit in your system if you're using these for any kind of water system. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. So it's a good, if you had to choose one to clean, this would be it. And maybe there's something better out there in your location, but this is all we had to choose from: this or mineral oil or something that had fertilizer in it or something. So we chose this one because it's probably the safest. All right, well, good luck with your scraping. Thank you.